No, I didn't have any accident yesterday, right? And today it's looking good again. I don't want to speak too soon though. Where did you want in your potty today?
There.
In there? Did you want it in the kitchen? Can you say kitchen?
Kitchen.
Bella's looking at me like, why don't I get any turkey? Now she stopped looking at me. Are you sad, Chambella?
Can you just give her some?
No, I can't give her some. Chambellina.
Daniel gave her some.
No, you better not. Yummy food?
Yeah. Yeah. Sandwich!
You liked it when I put the turkey in the sandwich?
Can you do it again today?
What else was your favorite thing of the stuff you have on your plate? Is it what Noah's about to drop?
Yeah.
Is that your favorite? Noah seems to really enjoy it too.
This is my spoon. I did too.
Okay, go and sit down and eat now. Okay, sit down and eat now, okay? Vacuums. Got it like super cheap secondhand, but we're gonna have to update it eventually whenever we decide the time. But anyway, while that is happening, I'm making some gingerbread cookies. Remember how I like doubled it and how it like exploded on me all over the kitchen? Well, I don't know what to give the kids tomorrow for breakfast, so since they're actually not sweet, I put in like half the amount of sugar that I should have. They didn't fit, and not enough flour added, but they turned out really good. I did it like a test drive with like a couple of them the other day. And gingerbread though is an awesome one to make from scratch. This one is like has no egg in it, and it lasts a long time in the fridge. So I usually just take a little bit, make it, this way they always have fresh ones. Because, once they're made, they're only good for so long, but the dough in the fridge will last a while. So I'm going to make a couple of them for them, like several for them for breakfast. Especially since I really didn't make them too sweet and the kids like them anyway, so. Ooh. It's actually super hard. Ugh. When they first come out the fridge, but if you let it sit out, then it gets too soft and too sticky. So it's super hard at first, but I'll be playing around a little bit with this, a little bit softer, and I'll make them some cookies. Then this I like to make them in, and I'll be sure to put the recipe in of the correct amount I usually make. This side is a little bit too thick, so usually what I do when I run out of space, I just start making them and then roll it out towards that way, because that side is thin enough. It kind of looks like a huge Christmas tree, but the kids will have. So I'm making right now Mickey Mouse. Ooh. Mickey Mouse and bear. Since Noah is a bear, we're a family of bears. We always call each other Noah Bear, and then it kind of become like even Chambella Bear. So before Doug left, he was like teaching Noah how to say Chambella Bear or like Baba Bear. But yeah, these are the two. I might change it up with more shapes since I have honestly like a bunch. But we'll see. They can really, even though you use flour to roll it out and everything, it can be sometimes difficult and sticky on it. So this is usually what I use. Sorry, the line. This is usually the one I use. I love it because it's not so thick. It's very, very thin. So almost like a spread out knife, So I grew up with one of these. My mom always used it. This is what I think most people in Sweden use. That's what my mom had. And you can find them everywhere. So I ended up buying mine from IKEA. And so this is what I used to scoop it up. and I just have to remove that little piece. There it goes. And then they bake for like a few minutes. I like them soft, not crispy. And the kids like them soft. Doug is the same way. We all love them soft. So I usually make them soft instead of crispy. So I leave them usually even, about this thickness, maybe a little bit more. This is already a little bit too much here. But about this level, and then I try to bake them for not super long. So usually about 5 minutes. 135 degree, 225 Celsius, 425 Fahrenheit, depending where you are in the world. Usually bake them about 5 minutes. If they look too soft and you want them more crispy, you can put them back in. If they look raw, obviously you can put them in longer. But this one, even if you want the help from your kids to make it, I'm gonna put the how to make it in the description and everything. But because there's no eggs, when my kids were younger, they honestly snacked even on the dough, and that's perfectly fine because it's no eggs whatsoever. So I'll put it out there. It's perfectly safe for your little ones to help you while you bake this once, and it's fun. It's to get them involved, and to me, it's like what the Christmas spirit is all about. Doing this kind of things with the kids. Too much is becoming now about presents and things like that, but growing up for me, yeah, cool. I got, usually I got most of the things I wanted, even though my parents had 7 kids. But it was a time that we got to spend with my mom and my dad, all the baking and all the board games and things like that. So that's what I'm trying to instill in my kids too. Yeah, cool about the presents, but the fun part is spending time with mommy and daddy. And family in general, because usually that's when you spend it with everyone. So, but this year, just mommy and daddy because of COVID and everything. They're already getting too soft, but here they are. They're gonna get in the oven now. They're not super pretty, but they'll be delicious. The kids will love them, and I'm gonna bake them for 5 minutes and see how that goes. Oven is preheated. 435. And then I'm going to make more. For 5 minutes, they came out perfect. This is exactly how my family likes to eat them. So 5 minutes for that thickness, perfect. It looks beautiful. Maybe even almost like too crispy for Doug because he likes them really soft. But this one is perfect. Going in, it's made in Mickey Mouse. And then, so if you struggle with the dough, if it's too soft and getting too warm, and too sticky, sometimes making them small makes your life so much simpler because they don't break as easily and whatnot. They're like really warming up here on the stove, but I'm running out of space. But yeah, so smaller sometimes will make it like it's a longer process because then you end up making a lot more cookies in a way. But you can make them closer to each other because they're small, as well as they'll just be a lot easier to move around and from the place where you're kneading the dough and everything to here on the stove and then in the oven, and just they break so much less likely when they're like the smaller they are. So I should turn out a little bit darker than what I like them, so they're more on the crispy side, but they're still good luckily. And then the topolinos came out a lot better still, so I guess the smaller ones even less minutes than 5, but for who knows me well, I had to have the heart too, so I'm making also a few hearts and then small angels because I accidentally dropped the other one on the floor, so one in the dishwasher, and then we're making hearts as well. And still planning on making some bears, but they're bigger, so they're a lot harder to maneuver. So we'll see. I'm gonna just make a bunch of hearts. And then one big difference thing that I never really grew up with frosting them, so we eat them just the way they are, and that's how we always enjoy them. So I'm not planning on changing that. You can do whatever you want with yours if you're planning on making them. Also, I want to say, if you just want to do like kind of like the tradition of like starting, making them yourself, IKEA also does sell the dough to make them yourself. So you can just buy the dough already made. But it's really not that hard to make the dough. The hardest part of this cookies is really to make the dough flat, because it's like a hard rock when you get it out out of the fridge. But yeah, otherwise the dough is not that complicated at all. Minutes, and it came out perfect. In color and wise, it's a little bit darker. It's still good. I don't know if you can tell with lighting and everything, but this is more like the color I'm looking for. So the first ones usually take a little bit longer. I should remember that from last year. So the reason why in Sweden, something like the reason why in Sweden we bake so much is the idea that when someone visit you in December, if they don't leave with a baked good, they're taking the spirit of Christmas away from your house. So I always grew up with baking a lot for Christmas, with me as a kid, with my mom, and with my siblings. The older we grew, the more we did it for my mom, so she could bake more stuff. And it just, she is usually mainly for us, because my parents had 7 children. But yeah, we grew up with Christmas time, we bake a lot. And that's kind of like the tradition I like to keep with my kids. And I like to bake from scratch because we're very crunchy, and I like to know what I'm putting in my kids' bellies and everything. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna post this. The amount of dough I made to make gingerbread cookies, and as you can see, I only use like this little corner for them for tomorrow to snack on. And I have like one last set in the oven. As you can see, it makes quite a bit, and there's only 3 little kids. But it's not like I'm not planning to make more with them, because, we're crunchy. And so when we make the gingerbread house, which we make every year, and we actually eat it at the end of the Christmas season. So we make it at the very beginning when we start decorating and everything. We haven't made it this year because the store here to buy this is quite far. So instead of using the regular M&Ms, which have a lot of chemicals in it, we like to use this ones, which are a lot more natural. They're like, fair trade and all that kind of stuff. Plus, the colors that they use is derives from vegetables like beets, chews, and things like that to make the color. You can tell, they still have sugar and all that stuff, but it's just better, It's not so much preservatives and chemicals that our body doesn't know how to process. The least amount I give them, the easiest it will be for their body to process. In fact, usually when we do get school lunches from here, it usually comes right out. But going back to the cookies, the reason why we didn't bake today with them is because as soon as Noah woke up, I fed them, and we got to the car and left. And by the time we came back, it was time to get ready for bed and go into bed. Unfortunately, because we live on a military base, everything ends up being further away, and having a child that naps, everything is on a schedule, and we usually only manage to do like one thing if we have to drive somewhere off base. Plus the time it takes me to put all 3 in the car, for them to agree with it, especially now with like winter clothes and shoes and all that stuff. It takes forever. So I wasn't able to bake with them today, but we're planning on doing it. A lot more baking, as you can see from the amount I still have left. And plus, I'm hoping to make cinnamon rolls, the Swedish cinnamon rolls, kanelbullar, tomorrow as well, and more in the next few days. Obviously, the saffron buns, the lussekatter, they're all gone. I think there might be like one left, one of the kids, but we're gonna have to make more. I bought more saffron now so we can make it properly. My mom likes to double it, so more yellow. That's how I grew up with. There's more flavor to it.